Hello guys, my name is Roshni Patil. Here I am going to give you a demo on my project, which is nothing but a basic web app which will help to detect that the person has diabetes or not. So let's start our project. So first of all here I am using the Keras model, which will integrate the app which will integrate my machine learning code with the web app. So first of all here I am going to show you my machine learning code. For machine learning code I had used the neural network algorithm. Okay, so now first of all here I'm importing the pandas library. After that I have loaded the data set which I have got from the Kaggle. After loading the data set, here you can see that the data set info, and in that I have total 768 entries and 9 columns, in which last column is my output, that the person has diabetes or not. From data set you can see that, okay, here you can see that the last column is nothing but the 0 and 1, which means that the person has diabetes or not. After that, first of all I have to check my data set contains any null value or not. So from here you can check that, and you can see that here is false. It means that my data set doesn't contain any null value. And as I already told you that last column is nothing but my target value, so I had labeled that as y, and in that I have stored my, like we can say that y is nothing but my target value. Okay, and in x I had all my input datas. And the best part about the neural network algorithm is we don't have to worry about the feature selection and the elimination process. Neural network will do that one behind the scene for us. So basically this is the architecture of the neural network algorithm. We have one input layer, and we have hidden layer also, and last is the output layer. We have also more than two hidden layer. It depends use case to use case. And uh, it will do the feature selection process for us. After that, here I am using the sequential model to create my model, and I use the dense layer. So with the help of the dense layer, I want to add layer in my project, sorry, in my model. Here you can see that I had initialized my model as sequential, and after that I had added layers, and in that I have passed the units equals to 10. Units equals to 10 means in that particular layer how much neurons you want. Okay, so it again depends use case to use case. Here I had choose 10. If we have more neurons, then we can get the better result, but again it will also increase the time complexity, so we have to choose the perfect number of neurons. After that, here I had passed one more argument, which is nothing but the input dimension 8. Here from here you can see that I had already showed you we have total 8 input data. We have total 8 input data, and last is the output. So so on the behalf of that one I had taken input data dimension equals to 8. After that, I had passed one more argument, which is nothing but activation. Basically I want that this neuron has to be calculate some value. So the value which is calculated by that neuron is done with the help of the activation method. And in there are lots of activation method, but I had used the ReLU. Okay, similarly I had add one more layer to my model, and while creating one more layer I don't have to worry about the input dimension because it already know. And again I had passed the activation equals to ReLU. After that, model dot summary will gives us the summary of our model. And in last I had add one more layer. Actually actually what happened till now, you can see that this is my input, one hidden layer, second layer, hidden layer, whatever the last layer, I just want that layer gives us the output is either 0 or 1. So for that's why I had used the number of neurons equals to 1, and with the help of the sigmoid function, like sigmoid function gives us the values in the binary form. Like if you have the binary classification, then we have to use the sigmoid. Okay, so that last layer gives us the output in the binary format. And after creating the model and adding the layers to our model, we have to compile our model. And as I already told you, this is the binary classification. Then we had used loss equals to binary cross entropy, and we want to optimize our model. So for optimizing purpose, I had used the Adam optimizer. And after compiling the model, we have to fit the data to our model. Like fitting data, we can say that I have the x like input data as well as the target value. So and if, like we want that the model should learn that x or y's value. So for that I had fitted that x or y value. And here epochs 100 means, like we can take example of the uh, uh, school time. Like while we are studying in our school, we the teacher gives the homework to the students that you have write this formula 100 times or 20 times, just because we have to learn that things. So similarly here epochs doing the same thing, like fitting that x or y value 100 times. And after fitting the value, I had to save that model. It will save that it will save that model, die model.h5 file. And after saving the model, simply I can load that model in app.py file. It we can say that it will reduce the time, because already after running this after running the whole code, it will simply gives us the summary of that model. And just to loading that one file in the app dot, it will reduce the time complexity while running the code. And here you can see that I had loaded that file in my app.py file. And as I already told you, for integrating the machine learning code and the web app, I had used the Flask. So yes, here the main file of Flask, which is nothing but the app.py. And in that file I had load my model. After that I had created one simple route, which is nothing but the slash home. And if the user will enter the slash home in its URL, then it will render the index.html page, or we can say that it will load my index.html file. We have to take care about one thing, that if we have to put all our HTML file inside the template folder, and our CSS file in the static folder, as well as if we have any image used in our web app, then we have put all those files in our static folder. After that it will load my index.html file. Let me a second. Yes, here is my index.html file. Here I have created very simple HTML code, and in that code I had written one form. Let me show you. Yes, this one form. So basically what happened, uh, the user will enter the data, and with the help of that form the user will enter the data. And as soon as the user will submit that data, all the data will be redirected to the slash spread route. So whatever the user will enter, all the data will move to the, or we can say that it will redirect to the slash spread route. And here you can see that the slash spread, all data comes here, but we have to store that value in, like in, we have to get that value. And so for that I have used a request.args.get method. And with the help of that method, we will fetch that value and store in the name variable as well as x1, x2, x3. And all that values we have to pass to our model.predict method. After predicting, after passing the predict method, like it will gives us the output. The output which we will get is not in the proper zeros and one format. Let me show you one thing. Yes, here is the sigmoid graph, how sigmoid graph works. The output which will get from the sigmoid is lies between the 0 and 1. It will never get a proper 0 and 1. So uh, yes, if it will gives like it will gives the value in the range between the 0 and 1. So we have to round that value. And if after rounding, if the value is 0, it means the person has diabetes. If the value is 0, it means the person doesn't have diabetes. And if the value is 1, here I am comparing, if the answer equals to 0, then it means the person has doesn't diabetes. And if the answer equals to 1, it means the person has diabetes. And it will load the dino.html file and dino.dies.html file respectively. uh, in after that app dot run, my whole project, my whole app, I can say that my whole app will run on this host and on this port number. Okay, let me show you dino.html, dies.html file. There is nothing much complicated here. I have just I have just retrieved all the values which is entered by the user and displayed on the dias.html file, and yes, it will gives us the result. Let's run our code. Here I have to enter the home, so it will load my index.html file. Just give me a second. Yeah, this is my web app. Here it has some basic diabetes information, how many types of diabetes are, what are the basic symptoms, and let's check the person has diabetes or not. Here I am getting this data from the Kaggle site, and as soon as I will submit that data, whole data will be redirected to the machine learning code, and after processing on that data, it will gives us the output. So let's submit our data. Yes, you can see that this is the patient details, and you can see that yes, that person has diabetes. If you want to go back to the main page, then you can come back, and again I'm going to enter one more time. Now the person doesn't has diabetes. Let's check what output will come. Let's check. Yes, you can see that now the person doesn't have diabetes. So that's all my whole project. Thank you so much.